Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine when you glance into a mirror, as if you saw something that wasn't quite there? For the Peterson family, that fleeting feeling became their terrifying new reality. This is the story of the family who moved into a house where every mirror reflected a different past. It started with a dream, a sprawling Victorian house, nestled on the edge of a quiet, forgotten town. For Liam, a writer seeking inspiration, his wife Chloe, a painter, and their two children, 8-year-old Mia and 12-year-old Leo. It was a perfect escape from the city's relentless hum. They bought the house for a steal. A little run down, but full of character. The previous owners had left in a hurry, leaving behind only dust, silence, and an unnerving number of ornate, antique mirrors. The first week was the sun streamed through the large windows. The scent of old wood and fresh paint filled the air. But the silence of the house was profound, almost unnatural. It wasn't peaceful, it was watchful. The first oddity occurred in the upstairs hallway. Chloe was dusting a large, oval mirror with a gilded frame when she saw it. Just for a second, her reflection wasn't her own. It was a woman with sad eyes and a tightly pinned bun, wearing a high-collared dress from a bygone era. Chloe blinked, and she was herself again. Shaking her head, she blamed it on the stress of the move. But it happened again. A few days later, Liam was shaving in the master bathroom. He looked up from the sink, and in the mirror, he saw not his own tired face, but that of a man with a handlebar mustache and a stern expression. His eyes burning with an intensity that made Liam flinch. The reflection vanished in an instant. A told Chloe, who confessed her own strange experience. They tried to rationalize tricks of the light. Old glass warping their reflections. The children were the next to notice. Mia came running from her room, her face pale. "Mommy, the girl in my mirror is crying." "Se, sobed." Chloe rushed to Mia's room, where a simple, circular mirror hung above her dresser. Chloe saw only their own worried reflections. She comforted Mia, telling her it was just a bad dream. But later that night, Leo, usually so stoic, quietly admitted he'd seen a boy about his age in his own mirror, dressed in what looked like a vintage baseball uniform, perpetually frozen in the act of throwing a ball. The reflections became more frequent, more distinct. There were glimpses into other lives, other times, all contained within the silent glass. The sad woman in the hallway mirror. They saw her pacing, wringing her hands. The stern man in the bathroom was sometimes seen arguing with an unseen person, his face contorted with anger. The crying girl in Mia's room never stopped weeping, and the boy in Leo's mirror remained trapped in his eternal game. It was as if each mirror was a window, a captured moment of a previous resident's life, replaying on a loop. The family grew tense. The house's silence was no longer just watchful. It was heavy with unspoken sorrows and forgotten angers. Liam, driven by a writer's curiosity and a father's fear, started digging. He spent hours in the town's dusty library archives, poring over old records and newspapers. What he found was chilling. The house had a long and tragic history. Each reflection they'd seen corresponded to a former occupant who had met a tragic end within those walls. The sad woman was Eleanor Vance, who'd lost her child to illness in 1902 and spent the rest of her days in mourning. The stern man was Mr. Abernathy, a banker who had lost his fortune in the crash of '29 and whose rage had consumed him. The crying girl was little Clara, who had fallen ill and passed away in what was now Mia's room. And the baseball player was young Thomas, a boy full of life, whose game was cut short by a sudden accident on the property in the 1950s. The mirrors weren't just showing reflections, they were holding echoes, psychic imprints of intense emotion left behind. These weren't malicious spirits, they were trapped memories, replaying their deepest pain and sorrow for eternity. The house wasn't haunted by ghosts, but by grief itself. Understanding this changed everything for the Petersons. Fear was replaced with a profound sense of empathy. Chloe, the artist, felt a deep connection to their plight. She decided they couldn't just leave these souls trapped in their lonely loops. One evening, she gathered the family. "We can't break the mirrors," she said softly. "That would be like shattering their last memory. We have to help them find peace." Her plan was unconventional, born from an artist's heart. They decided to interact with the reflections. It felt strange at first. talking to a mirror. Chloe would sit before Eleanor's mirror for hours, not speaking, but painting. She painted fields of wildflowers, sunny skies, and laughing children, holding them up to the glass. She wanted to show Eleanor the beauty that still existed in the world, to offer her a new image to focus on besides her grief. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the reflection of the weeping woman began to change. Her expression softened. One day, Chloe looked into the mirror and saw Eleanor looking not at her, but past her, a faint, peaceful smile on her lips. Then, the reflection faded, leaving only the polished glass behind. For Mr. Abernathy, Liam stood before the bathroom mirror and spoke to him. He didn't argue or placate. He read him stories of success, of people who had rebuilt their lives from nothing, of forgiveness and letting go of anger. He spoke of his own struggles as a writer, of failure and perseverance. The angry, stern face in the mirror began to lose its hard edges. The fire in his eyes dimmed, replaced by a weary understanding. And then, he too was gone. For the children, the task was simpler. Leo went to his mirror and, seeing the boy forever trapped in his pitch, he placed his own baseball glove against the glass. "You can finish your throw now," he said. It was a good one. The reflection of the boy, Thomas, seemed to nod, and with a final, spectral motion, completed his throw and vanished. And little Mia, with the pure empathy only a child possesses, sang lullabies to the crying girl in a mirror. She told her jokes and showed her favorite toys. She offered Clara the friendship she never had. One day, Mia looked in the mirror and saw the girl finally smile. A single, happy tear rolling down her cheek. Before she faded away into the light, one by one, the reflections found their release. The oppressive silence of the house lifted, replaced by a genuine, peaceful quiet. The weight was gone. The Petersons had not cleansed their house of ghosts. They had healed it with compassion. They realized the house had chosen them, a family of artists and dreamers, who would see not monsters in the mirror, but souls in need of a kind word, a beautiful image, a shared moment of humanity. They stayed in the house, its history now a part of their own story, a reminder that even in the darkest reflections, a little light and a lot of kindness can bring peace. What do you think you would have done in this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more strange tales. We'll see you next time.